Hi everybody, welcome back to the Unconquered Podcast. X's and O's breakdown here, and I'm starting with a UNC Miami clip. I'll show you why in a moment. But this week I'm going to try to do this a little quicker than I have in prior weeks, and I'm not going to follow through play by play as I've typically done. I'm going to try to isolate specific representative plays and just do those. I think it'll be a little bit more efficient to get at some of the points that we're going to try to get to. And one of the plays actually I'm going to incorporate is this play from the UNC Miami game on Saturday, immediately after the Florida State game ended. And the reason I want to highlight this is UNC is actually running a similar defense conceptually up front to what Florida State is, where they're combining some one gap and two gap stuff. And you can see, you got your edge overhang here. You've got your two gapper in a four technique, and they're a little bit smaller at this position, but otherwise this is pretty similar to what Florida State's doing. If you put a big player here, that's what you got. Now notice they've slid away from the trips bunch here so that those guys can't get mashed down, and they're going to keep more secondary players to that side. So for any toss or any sort of thing like that, they're going to have guys that can converge, and then they're going to be big on this side. So what I want to highlight, though, is something that's really been missing from Florida State up front for the most part, and that is this violence up front. Miami's going to run a power play where you're going to have this guard pull and try to lead up through the hole. But what I want to highlight, watch 55 right here. This is Jason Strobridge, their defensive tackle. He's head up on the tackle, so he's in a two-gap position. He's got the B gap and the C gap here. He's responsible for both of those. And he'll, you always have one primary gap that you play through into the secondary, but then your backer has what's called a bendy gap. So he's gonna make sure that the tackle is always right. So, you can't really play two gaps at once, but together you can make sure that you're always right. So, watch what Strobridge does here though with the Miami offensive tackle, and you'll see what I'm getting at. So, he gets a little bit high initially. You want to see him a little lower than this. You want to see it, the pad level just a little lower. Miami tackle's just a little lower than he is. But he does a great job getting his hands inside first. And then watch this. That's just disrespectful. Oh my goodness. This is violence at the point of attack when it comes to working through your hands and shedding a block. That is embarrassing if you're an offensive tackle. So not only does he handle his gaps, he throws the offensive tackle down, and then takes on the puller who would be blocking the backer or the second level defender, undercuts him, and makes the tackle for about a half-yard gain, no gain. And on the outside, you've got your contain. Inside here, you've got a one gap going through the A gap. He gets washed just a little bit more than you'd like. And then the backer is handling, looks like the C gap is probably Strobridge's primary. He's playing C to B, but the backer is going to come up here, so it's taken care of. Even if Strobridge doesn't make the tackle, this is really good run defense discipline and fitting here. The backer here is a little bit fooled. He sees the quarterback reverse out. When he sees the pull, he should be following across here, so he's not quite right. But elsewhere, they're in pretty good shape. But this right here, this violence at the point of attack means that nobody gets to the backer, and he's able to make the play. This is one of the things that has really been missing for Florida State this year. And I'm telling you, talent-wise, Strobridge here would not be a starter at Florida State. Now, the way he's played, I think he'd start over Durden, but talent-wise, he's not a starter at Florida State. And yet you're not seeing the kind of dominance inside from the defensive line that you're seeing on this play. I mean, my goodness, from UNC. And this is why they've won their first two games, is because they've been able to win up front like this And again, it's violence at the point of attack. And when we go through the Florida State game against ULM, which, ULM doesn't have Miami athletes, take note of how rarely you see this kind of just aggressive violence and manhandling your guy at the point of attack. So I just wanted to highlight that. We'll go ahead and start through from here. So I'm not going to focus on special teams here. So first play here. They've got a little roll, so you're going to have the response from the edge guy here to try to keep that in the pocket, and he's basically serves as a green dog here, and he's just going to make sure that everything stays inside. But the real problem here, they're guessing that this is going to be quarters. They guessed right, and if you match this way to quarters all the time, this is a free completion almost every time. Now this is a good play by Asante Samuel to come up and cause the incompletion. Now, I hate all the constant celebration. Come on, guys. Anyway, and that's just too much space there. All right, let's keep moving. Now, I want to highlight this one right out of the gate. When last year did we see this level of run blocking from a Florida State offense at any point? Here's Jawan Williams. That's an easy win. And again, yes, this is ULM, but come on. We didn't see this against anyone last year. Win there. Lucas has won here. The center has turned the penetrating one gap completely out. You've got a big seam developing. You've got the backside guard crashing on the backside, or the front side guard crashing on the backside backer, and then you're just getting your split zone lead here. Nice block by the H-back. And this is where Akers has really improved. He's getting vertical, and watch this little glide move into the hole, getting vertical, getting upfield, getting everything that's there. He maximized that run. That's a really good run. That's good football. I'm going to go ahead and adjust one thing here. Okay. So next thing here. Got Akers once again. Nice little acceleration into the hole. And once again, look at the run blocking. Scott moves his guy. Williams moves his guy. They handle things on the inside. Once again, this is the same play, and that's what Bryles will do. What play works once, he's gonna go hit the gas. They're snapping it with 31 seconds left on the play clock. Hit the gas and get moving, and that's a grown man. But again, look at this. Look at the run blocking here. That's excellent. And once again, you've got a similar thing. Now they've gone inline here. What they're trying to do, they're trying to force an edge guy to come down so the backers get out of the way. They blitz. This is handled inside. Everybody handles their guy inside. Roberts turns his guy around, and now Akers is able to get on the edge. Decent job by the receivers blocking, just getting their nose in there. And this looks easy. And, the offense is ranked number 9 in the country in efficiency in the SP+, and this is what it should look like when you're playing against the ULM. I mean, there's been a lot of improvement on this side of the ball. No doubt. But in today's film session, we're going to spend most of our time talking defense. This is extremely frustrating. So, first and foremost here, you've got a couple things. One is that 49 here, so this is the nose here. 49 gets washed down. You see that? He's over the guard. And the guard is able to turn him, and when he feels that down block pressure, he's got to put his foot in the ground and do what's called wipe. That's, think wax on with that right arm, wipe underneath, and then keep from getting pinned inside. But see how pinned inside he is? That opens up a pretty big seam there. He's got to fight that pressure and can't get washed down so much, which is what allows then, and you see that the tackle is just doing a nice little hip push there to get him pushed in. But he's got to resist pressure here against the down block to make sure that that seam doesn't open up as big. So that's number one. Number two, look at Durden get stood up and blocked by a Sunbelt H-back. I mean, seriously. Come on, 16. That's all you can do. You're being blocked by one-on-one by an H-back. That should not happen. I know he's got, contained responsibilities here, but come on. That guy's got to go back. This guy should be going backwards into the running back. The running back should be getting tackled with the H-back. That is just soft from 16. And he has not played well this year. He did not play well this game. He didn't play very well against Boise. He's had a few splash plays, but down to down, play to play, he's not played very well. But with that seam opening up, that allows the tackle to get to 56, who's in there for 5, and 5 needs to be sitting as much as possible right now. And then 56 should be coming downhill just a little earlier. He should be he should be right here right now instead of right here. Tries to arm tackle. That's a missed tackle. That's just not very good by any of the 3 players on that side. All right. This is really frustrating right here because I'm pretty sure that 5 has a blitz here. Based on this look, he's trying to disguise it or something, because you notice he comes, but what is he doing? He can't get anywhere from there. If you've got a blitz, you've got to find a way to get yourself in a position where you get an angle to actually make a difference. Come on, son. That's just terrible. It's bad football. It's pretty good from 6 here, getting out in coverage. This is where he can be pretty good as a backer. Okay, this is where Durden has been okay. These few splash plays once in a while. This is almost Reggie White hump move territory where he gets up under the pads of the tackle, pushes him back. Janarius does a good job here of winning the hand fighting battle and then winning the edge, forcing him back into Durden for the sack. Easy stuff. Good play there. Durden needs to be more consistent, though. All right, this isn't too bad. I mean, this is a free play. He knows that the flag's out here. So he's just trying to find a way to get a big play here. And this actually, from what I was told, came open. But he just couldn't get his feet set to get rid of it. I mean, ideally, you get rid of it right now and throw him deep. But he's trying to set up, and he just couldn't quite get it out in time. So, not ideal. He's got to get it out differently. But once again, Akers. I'm going to go ahead and skip through that. Akers. And the thing is, Akers, I mean, you don't want to give him that many carries against the Sunbelt team, but, he's the best guy you got, and the next guy's not nearly as good as him, so, and he's not as dependable, so, at a certain point, that's what you got to do. This is pretty good from Pokey here. Nice route. Runs him off. Sits quickly, creates space, and then run after catch. That's pretty good. Nice and smooth from Pokey. He runs really easy. Like to see a little bit more efficiency from him. And this is LeBourne. Not quite the back that Akers is, but still worthwhile to give him the ball once in a while. This is a nice design here from Briles. So he knows that these backers are having to trigger downhill a bunch because the offensive line has been winning. And so this is not an RPO. This is straight play action. And what he's depending on is Harrison's speed and ability to get inside this safety. Once these backers trigger, there's nothing they can do. And then that's a nice throw from Blackman. Harrison's an athlete. Now, notice this is not an RPO. Watch his head. He dips that head really hard to sell that fake. That's a good fake from Blackman. It's footwork could be a little better, but overall does a good job selling the fake. Nice throw. It's pretty good there. I'll take that. Offense is, handling their business here. Not a bad fake. Now, notice Woodby here is much more physical than the alleged thumper next to him. Woodby on this blitz drives the guard back about 4 yards. I can respect that. Now, what I don't like is Cooper here doesn't handle that double team very well. He gets moved. He needs to play lower, and if need be, instead of trying to fight that upright like that, you've got to go to a knee and bury it. The other thing I don't like, take a look at 58 here. That tackle who looks like a tight end. Actually, that is a tight end. They're unbalanced. That tackle wins that matchup on the edge. 58 has to win that matchup. Yeah, this here actually, as I look at it more, you've got Cooper here. I'd like to see him not get driven back as much, but we know whose fault this is, that this gets a first down. Right there. Number 5. He's not in his gap. I'm not sure what he's looking at. He's looking over here. He has one gap here. He has the B gap. So 58 needs to compress this better. I'd like to see him compress that better. But the gap between 58 and here, that's supposed to be 5's gap right there. Trigger through that gap. Woodby has A here. 5 just has to hit this gap hard, and this is a tackle for loss. Everybody else has done their job reasonably okay. Woodby has completely spilled this. This is really good from 6. 5 is back here. 5 should be right there. What are you doing, son? Why are you hopping around like a frickin' jackrabbit? Hop, 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 hop. Oh, there. Oh, yeah, there he is. Ran right through the hole I was supposed to have. Get him off the field. That guy should not be playing at this point. All right, little delta look here. And again, Woodby here, really good blitzer. Pretty good coverage there across the board. And by having Hamza sink here, you take away the crosser. Nice job there. Good scheme. Not bad from DJ here. And this is just a look against the blitz. They bring this second level player here, and Blackman recognizes the hot. Good job by Harrison getting inside to the vacated space, and then that's a nice 3rd and 13 conversion against very big cushions. He blitzes. That's an easy one. Nice play. All right, this here, I want to highlight real quick. This is Pokey here, and I'd like to see a better route here from Pokey. So first and foremost, they are, and also I think Blackman made a wrong read here, so we'll get to that. But this is a slant flat on this side, and then double slants to the top. So they're playing man coverage here, and this is heavy inside leverage from the outside on to the boundary for one, because he knows he's way outside. So there's no real threat of something to the outside. Anything outside, he should be able to jump. So he's playing heavy inside leverage. And then you got a safety here who then is going to come down at the snap. He's going to come down at the snap because the other safety's in the middle of the field. So this is man free, and he's going to come down hard. So what Blackman is thinking is he's got a one-on-one here on the boundary and just throw that behind the safety that's coming down. I actually don't. This is not the read I would encourage the quarterback to make. If I were running this and I knew that this was man, I actually want to throw the slant against the press corner up here, because once he clears out on the inside, as he comes down to press, I think my guy is going to be able to get that matchup. He's going to be able to get inside guaranteed more easily, and you can fit that really nicely right there. It's going to come open really easily. There's your read, in my view. Now, I mean, I'm not exactly sure what Briles has him doing here in terms of his choice here. I don't like this choice as much to the bottom of the screen. And the other thing is, I don't think Pokey runs a really good route here. So I'd like to see him stem this inside just a little bit more. You don't want that defensive back to be able to stay inside, keep that inside leverage as much. But he never forces him to move off that inside leverage. And what you want to do is head him up just a little bit more. And this is something Warren Thompson's really started to figure out, is you want to head him up just a little bit more, then head back a little bit back to the outside, because when you make him honor that leverage and sink inside a little bit, and then you go to come outside, that's when he starts to come outside and you can squeeze back in. If you never threaten that inside leverage, he just sits there, and then when you come inside, you just run into him. I think this is a bad interference call. It's a gift, because the DB is on his leverage. He has a right to be there. The receiver runs into him. That's a good play by the corner. I think that should be a no call, but they got a gift there. And then this is a good read, good little read on the read option by Blackman. Piece of cake. Moving forward. All right. So 3rd and 3. Okay, this is on 28 here. So this is two match. You can see that this is palms basically with the blitzer. So this is two match, where it's gonna match up with the vertical here on the outside. You're gonna have two deep safeties, and then underneath you're gonna match up with whoever you got. So you got a blitzer on the outside here. He must be matching up here. So you're matching here. You're matching over the top. Either way, yeah, I'm not sure that's two match, but it looked like it initially. I think it probably still is, but I'm not sure what 14's doing. Either way, when you're this backer, this is your assignment if he comes across. So especially once he goes in motion, you've got to be looking for anything coming this way. As soon as you see the H starting to come across on the slice, you have to start getting width, because if they do pass this, you've got to make sure he can't cross your face. And that's exactly what he does. And then 28 isn't fast enough to make up for it. And there you go. It's just not good enough. 15 also needs to identify when you have that motion. He needs to identify the slicer quicker as well. He should be up here more quickly. Now he should be right about here. You know, it's just a little bit slower to recognize, but it's a good tackle. All right. So we got 3rd and 9 now. This is actually pretty good. That's not bad. Oh yeah, but this one has to be picked. Come on, 27. Might want to change that number. It's not been a good number of late. Let's see what we got here. Oh yeah, this is where Lucas steps a little wide, seeing the blitz and all of this, and he doesn't quite expect the end to come in quite as hard. He gives that up, and then the edge guy wins here as well. This is what Durden against the H should have looked like earlier. Look at him bring it to Trey, or to Trey McKitty. That's much better. Sunbelt guys are more physical. Okay, here, this is pretty simple. This one boils down to you have the end dropping here, and they're throwing that little screen. He's got his eyes on the quarterback. As soon as that ball's thrown, he needs to get his eyes off the quarterback and find the ball, the receiver, get his eyes to him, break down. That should be a tackle right there. And you got to tackle inside out. The last thing you can do if you're that guy is let him come back inside. That's all Janarius missing this assignment. When he misses that assignment, that should be a no gain. And instead, you got that. Okay, a couple things here. One is it's not clear what's going on up front. I'm not 100% there, but this is terrible technique at the line of scrimmage. Watch his feet. So he's outside leverage. They're playing cover 2. The goal here is to minimize. They might be playing quarters here. I'm not sure. Yeah, that's quarters. Okay, so they're in quarters. This is base press man or press technique. He's outside leverage. Now this receiver does a good job pressing to leverage and then standard 2-step release, press to leverage, press inside and then get outside. There is no reason that he should be off balance like this. This is just bad technique. He recovers well though, gets into his hip. Right here he should be looking back for the ball. He's in phase. Doesn't turn around and look at it, but he still manages to get his hands through. Not too bad, but he's got to look back for it there. Okay, this is a great example of some of the stuff I wanted to talk about in this particular film study. So there's several reasons this becomes a breakout run, and there's a end zone view of this that we're going to look at in a second that'll explain what's going on here. So first and foremost, they're slanting one gap to the left. So everybody's slanting to the left. Now, the offensive line is running zone to their left, so to the defensive line's right. That's okay. They're in okay shape to fit this. But the way that this should work is as soon as he steps inside, 16 should be coming down as tight to the tackle as possible. You see him use proper technique there to get his hand over the top and slap by. That's okay. But the real problem is he should be coming downhill hard there. He does not have quarterback responsibility. He does not have H-back responsibility. Quarterback is right here. H-back and contain is right here. So he should be running alley. He's got contain. He'll take on the H-back if he has to, or if the H-back comes in actually, he's probably got quarterback, and then he's going to have H-back in coverage and run the alley. That's the way that's going to work. He's got contain and expecting quarterback to come outside. He's going to have the alley and run with the H-back if it's a pass. So 5 is hopping around like usual. So he should be coming downhill a little bit and making sure that he doesn't cross his face too much. He's in okay shape, but he's got to hit this hard. This should be a tackle for loss. See how he hesitates? Why are you hesitating? Hit this right down inside his butt line, right to the ball carrier right here. That should be an almost Jadeveon Clowney type. You're unblocked. From here, you should be headed straight downhill into the running back. That's a tackle for loss. Why are you even thinking about this guy? Just get He should be hugging his butt right there, straight down inside. Boom, tackle for loss. Number one. Second aspect of this, though, and this is why this hits, is the combination of 49 jumps too far to the other side. So 49 appears to be a two-gap responsibility here, where he's got both A's, and then 6 has both A's with him as well. So 6 is not supposed to trigger too quickly. And that's something some people who are talking about the linebackers not triggering quickly enough don't necessarily, I'm not sure all of them understand what the way that this is supposed to work behind a two-gapper. If you're behind the two-gapper, you're supposed to make sure that he's never wrong. That's the idea. So if 49 jumps a little too far and he gets a little bit too far to this A gap, then 6's job is to hit this A gap. Now 49, ideally, you'd like him to slant right into this shoulder, and here's your primary gap, and then you use his butt to block off this gap, and you just press him that way, and then you are keeping your right shoulder clean so that if he hits here, you can make the tackle with your right arm, and your left arm is delivering the blow and pressing down so that there's no space behind him. Instead, he gets stood up, and you notice the defensive linemen, they're catching. You see nothing like what you saw from North Carolina's defensive tackle here. Why do we not see right here, you got your hands inside, right here's an opportunity to push and pull. He should be able right here, his foot is off the ground for that second, right there. He should be able to push and pull his shoulders this way. Pull him across your body, put that foot in the ground right here, and pull him across, and now you've basically body slammed him the same way that Carolina's defensive lineman did, and now you're in the hole, you're making a tackle at the line of scrimmage. So he should be hugging it. That should be a tackle for loss. He's a little too far on his slant. You'd like him to play through this A-gap into that A-gap rather than getting turned into that A-gap. That's just too soft. That's way too soft from Cedric Wood. And then 6 is waiting on that, but then as soon as you see, and again, this is a good job by the guard who's pushing him here. It's good technique. When you see that, 6 should be coming downhill. This is where he needs to trigger downhill immediately and be in that gap. His job is going to be to hit this guard with his right shoulder, keeping his left arm free, because his gap is here. And the way that this works is they're rotating to a cover 1. So he's dropping back, he's coming down, and he's actually going to have that secondary gap. So 6's job here is going to be to hit this A gap, make sure that there's no space here to spill this to 23, who's going to come straight down the pipe into that B gap. And this should be a big collision around the line of scrimmage. And Nasir al-Din is ready to do it. But 6 sees the big seam here, doesn't stay in his gap. He jumps out of it, trying to do a little too much. And now you got 2 guys in the same gap, nobody in that gap, and now you have a back running free. Do your job, son. 6, do your job. So this should have been a tackle for loss right there. Should have been running into 49, his arm right here. Should have been 6 spilling this to 23 for no gain. Instead, you get a couple players out of one gap and you get a long run. It's not that complicated, but man, is it frustrating to watch. That's a cheap pass interference. This is good coverage. Again, similar thing where the corner has the right to be there. He does a good job of maintaining his leverage. Receiver runs himself out of bounds. That's not pass interference, but they gave Florida State one, so I guess that's a makeup call, I guess. I don't know. Okay, so here, got a couple things. The biggest issue here is, yeah, this is pretty simple. Biggest issue here is 6 is not deep enough. And this is something that is the case a lot with the linebackers on short yardage. With the way that they're playing up front, you actually need to have a little bit deeper alignment as the backer. But watch what happens here. 6, because he starts so close to the line of scrimmage, they're able to actually get a tight end up on him here. If he starts back even with where Nasiruddin is here, he's able to avoid this block or at least shed it over the top, and this can't get out wide as easily. Now, 8 does a good job of playing contain, gets his hand on him, and then this is actually not too bad from 5 in pursuit to get on him. And then that gets the fumble forced, ball's down, so that's that. So this, though, yeah, good job. This is actually one where I got to give 21 credit. This is Marvin Wilson winning here. That's him just being big, strong, and deciding he's going to win. That's pretty good. I'll take that. But, of course, who else is flexing? It's not Marvin. Yeah, drives me crazy. This was a little lucky. So they've got a quads formation here, which is tough to match up against. And what they know is that they know Florida State's going to match up in man. So you got man, you got man, you got man, and then you got man for the H-back here. That's a tough cover to the corner. They're going to release him. They've shown already that they really like to release that slicer. As soon as he starts moving here, 8 needs to be on his horse and cannot get caught in the trash. 8 needs to be on his horse to get wide, or that's a touchdown. And because he hesitates and gets caught in the trash a little bit, that should have been a touchdown. Instead, it's really fortunate that 13 coming off the edge accidentally trips him up. Otherwise, that's a touchdown. So he got lucky there. Looks like a deep choice there, and they stayed deep, so 15 pulled up. Not too bad. All right, which one is this? I'm not sure what 5's doing there. I think he might actually have a blitz here. I don't know. It's hard to tell. Okay, this has been a problem all season. From game 1, play 1 of the defense, Asante Samuel at 160 pounds, somehow imagining that him coming up and just throwing a shoulder on somebody is enough. This is lack of fundamentals. If he just uses his arms here, they get off the field. It's 21-0 still. Off the field. Offense gets the ball back. Instead, they score a touchdown. Why? Simply because he didn't make the tackle. Now, there's also a bust here because you got 2 guys coming through the same gap to the quarterback. I'm pretty sure that 33 is supposed to peel off with the back here. Pretty sure that he's supposed to peel off. But good recovery by Asante to recognize it's there. Just just tackle with your arms, man. Can't just bring your shoulder to the party. Then you get here. And this one, I'm not sure exactly which in how they teach it. I'm not sure exactly whose fault this is, but what they've got is this is a wheel from the H-back, and then you have a little now to the bottom of the screen, and they're playing quarters. So you've got deep zone, deep zone, deep zone, deep zone. One of them is going to have the deep zone that's going to go, and if he'd just run vertically, it's easy because then he's going to take the deep zone in his zone. Because he runs a wheel and he gets into Stanford Samuel's airspace, I think that's where 23 thinks you're going to keep running with him. He's a vertical in your area, and Samuels is thinking he's the number 2. You've got the vertical in your area, and they both let him go, and you wind up with that. My suspicion is that this is probably on 23. Even though it's 8 that's coming into the screen late, I'm pretty sure that's 23's responsibility, but I'm not 100% sure. So this is where I'd like to have seen them return more kicks against ULM. I mean, they're an inferior athletic team. Why fair catch so much against them? I mean, I get why you did it. You didn't fair catch when you should have last year, but this is a game where you shouldn't fair catch pretty much at all because they're just athletically inferior, and you've got some guys back there that can run like this. So, whatever. Fourth and 4. If you're going to call pass interference, that's the one to call. He's hanging all over him. That's pass interference, but whatever. Oh, they did call it. I forgot that. That's right. Okay. And then that's Akers just being a dude. This has got to be a pull read from Blackman. It's also a miss by Abdul Bello here. They brought pressure from the secondary here, from the second level, from the backers. Backers are coming up here. He's got to step inside. It's a tough job because he's going to be in that gap so quickly. But ultimately, that's got to be Blackman pulling the ball. Blackman pulls that. He's got a little run pass option on the outside here. All right, so now our second half. Not going to spend too much on it on offense. That's pretty good from Stan Samuels. Not bad. That's Roberts getting beat a little bit, but, it's going to happen once in a while. Started getting bogged down. And what would a Florida State game be without a personal foul on special teams from number 27? They just need to change his number. It's just not good juju with that number. Okay, here this is a 3rd and 4. This is a really good concept from ULM. They're a well-coached team. And they're recognizing that by cutting this down and having, H-back outside a tight end, they're going to wind up by releasing them both vertical. You're going to get the corner and the safety in quarters, essentially, or in match here. It's going to be tough because they're going to have to figure out who's going to go where, and then as you divide it, he's playing over the top here, and then all of a sudden, and I think this is man free. This isn't quarters because you see the inside leverage at the bottom here. That's pretty good. You got a safety back here then. But this is pretty good. And this is tough to cover because he's going to try to honor the vertical release here, and then he just turns and sets up. What you'd really like to see, though, is you're a corner, man. Are you afraid of getting beat deep by this guy? If so, then maybe we need to put another corner on the field. You want to get, as it starts to clarify who's going to release to whom, now you're reading 1 through 2. You know he's his guy. Step up here and get your hands on him. or at least close the space. And then if he goes to run by you, you should be faster than him. That's way too much space to give to a tight end. You got to close that space down, and if he's going to make the tackle or make the catch, he'd better box you out. And yeah, you got the safety screaming in there, so you've got deep help anyway. So he should be playing up with him. That's yeah. The other thing is, this blitz here, might as well just not even have it happen so late. He doesn't do anything. Got a good hit on the quarterback, but not because of him. I think that's an RPO. Yeah, it's an RPO there. They're hitting that behind the backers. It's a good play. But here's a really good play from 56. He fills against the run, does his job taking care of that A-gap, recognizes the RPO, and that's good effort to get back. And if he hadn't stripped it, which that's a good strip, if he hadn't stripped it, 23 would have. That's good play. And then, come on, 8. What are you doing? It's a really good strip. No, Jaden. You'd think, this is where, if it's one guy that does it, blame that guy. What is Woodby doing? What is Lars Woodby doing here? There are players around here. Now is not the time for the spork. You don't use your spork with people around. Get down on the ground like Asante's trying to do. They almost didn't get this one because of this. Why are you trying to pick this up? Spork it, baby. Get out your spork. Or don't spork it. I mean, don't get out your spork when there's people around. Oh, and 8? What are you doing? It's not time. This is not the time for the spork. Jeez, guys. Over and over again. I mean, you'd think they would have covered this repeatedly, but you know what? Whatever. LeBourne here, fresh legs. See this nice run through the hole, and you see his twitch. He's a very twitchy runner and has, the ability to squeeze through some tight spaces. Now, I will say, and this is nice, you see the joint stiffness, he's very stiff in terms of how sudden he can be. Not bad stiff, but good stiff in how sudden he can be in the open field. Very quick there, very sudden. That said, Akers might score from there. He's just not nearly as fast as Akers, but a good run. Yeah, and here we have the interception. So this is actually an RPO. So you've got an RPO call where basically the idea here is that Blackman is gonna have two options. He can either hand the ball off. This is clearly an RPO with how they're blocking it up. He can either hand the ball off, or he's got a one-on-one. If he recognizes the one-on-one outside, you've got a vertical choice route on the outside. They love the vertical choice series, and it's pretty simple. If the corner sits, then the receiver just runs a vertical. If the corner bails, then the receiver sits down. You've seen this a bunch already this year, but it's pretty simple. Now, there are a couple mistakes that are made here that lead to this interception. I think it's the right... I mean, he could have handed this ball off. I mean, I think actually this is the same play. Yeah, I think this might be the same play, the same vertical option on the outside here this time. But anyway, he hands it off that time. Might be a slightly different play. I'm not 100%. But here, he could have handed off. I mean, you've got potential numbers in the box. It's probably a decent play to hand it off. But he likes his one-on-one. I've got one-on-one with 15 out here. I feel pretty good about that. So I'm going to go ahead and pull it, and I'm going to look for that vertical. Now, here's where the mistakes are. One is 15 right here reads this as a bail and begins to sit down. One sees 15 begin to sit down, and he decides, okay, that's where I'm throwing it. You made the read. I'm gonna throw it. And of course, 15 realizes, he sat, and then tries to take off, and then you have the pick six. So that's not entirely on Blackman. This is 15 not making quite the right read. And I've coached this concept myself a good bit. So there's a different way. You have to really rep this a ton to get it right. But 15 has to be on. He has to be running harder off the line of scrimmage here. You want him to be on his horse to force him to bail or sit. He's able to kind of play in between, partly because he's not at full speed here. You want him to really sprint this. And he makes the wrong read, because he should right now recognize that he's not actually turning and bailing. The shoulders haven't fully turned. He's reading him. So that means he's expecting a little bit of help. Either way, he should not be shutting down. So he made the wrong read. But Blackman is completely at fault here at the end of the day, because Blackman is watching 15 to see whether he throws or not, instead of watching the defender. They both should be watching the defender and determining their read independently. And they should both each determine the same read independently. That's the thing. If they'd done that, then, okay, let's say 15 makes the wrong read and shuts it down and slows down here and stops, and he's still sitting on it. Well, Blackman should have recognized that he was sitting here. So now he should be releasing this with where he's at now. He should be releasing this up. It should be going upfield on the vertical. And so then the most you get is ball sails upfield while the receiver's standing here. Okay, well, miscommunication, no problem. Or if Terry reads this correctly, then you're throwing it into and that's a touchdown, into the proper spot. What you can't do is just watch your offensive player, your receiver, and make your read based on him. And again, it's hard to do. And this, by the way, is why Blackman, you see him pump so many times and with some indecision, because he's oftentimes trying to determine whether or not his receiver is going to go on the vertical, which option, which choice the receiver is going to make. But if you're waiting for the receiver to make the choice, it's too late. You should be making the choice at the same time the receiver does, and it just needs to be the right choice every time. And that takes reps and it takes trust. But once you actually get there, you can put up filthy numbers, just filthy. Instead, well, that's what happens. Not very good. And all of a sudden, a fragile Florida State team that is soft and fragile is being threatened again. So what are you going to get here? Well, you're going to get, nice play by DJ Matthews. And now you're going to get two mistakes by 89. And he didn't play very much. 80 played most of the plays at that position in this game. But he should be on the line of scrimmage here, because you've got a motion man. So that foot should be up here. So he's the reason for the penalty. It's an illegal formation. And then you have a mesh play. So they're each running shallows in front of the backers. And then the way that mesh will work is you're almost always going to have a dig behind the mesh. And then this is going to be dependent on the offense that you're in or what tag is called. Generally speaking, with Bryles, that's going to be a go or a vertical choice. And you can see that's a go. So the backers drop off. And now quarterback's job is just to take the shallow he likes as it comes all the way free. Piece of cake. Pretty good job by Keith Gavin here. That's a grown man stiff arm. But now you've got to recognize there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys around you. I know one's on the ground. You're not going to get any more yardage of consequence. Take it out of bounds, or better yet, just kind of dive forward a little bit, protect the ball, and go down. But you're not going to get anything of appreciable here. Instead, he stays up, gets hit from behind, fumbles, and all of a sudden, things have changed dramatically, momentum-wise, for a very fragile team. That's just poor football there. .24 getting run over there. See, once again here, that's just not very good. I got to take a closer look at that. I think I know what happened there. I think this is the wrong front against this formation. So their trips. Yeah, I think this is a misalignment here. Not 100% sure, but I think they're outnumbered on this side because they're misaligned. But I'm not 100%, so we'll pass that one over just a little bit, but I'm pretty sure they're misaligned there. Now this one is easier. It's easier to see what's going on. Because here you have, once again, the same thing. 16 needs to hit this hard. Instead, he's not nearly tight enough. When he steps forward, you should be tight straight down the line of scrimmage. That play should be made before the H-back gets there. This is also really soft because if you are going to run into the H-back, you should absolutely blow him up. This is where, if there's going to be legal targeting left in this game, it's going to be right here where as he comes up, look how high he is. Durden should be coming off the edge here with a vengeance, making it so that he doesn't want to block anybody for the rest of the game. Take him and do a Greg Jones style, throw him by the throat into the running back. That should be a tackle for loss right there. This is also poor by number 5 here. As I'm not sure what he's doing. As he's just hopping around like a jackrabbit again. Hop, hop, hop. Why are you hopping around? Just come downhill into your proper gap and meet him head up instead of diving at his ankles. If he does a proper linebacker form tackle and thumps him here, then even though Durden should have had a tackle for loss, this is ended right there. That's now third and 1. Instead, first down. And this is a missed assignment here by 35, also a missed assignment by 16. Once again, 16's job is to be the spill player and hit that hard. Playing soft again. Make contact, man. Hit somebody. Don't play on your heels here. You're a defensive lineman. Hit him into him. Your job is to spill those guys. What is he doing? His job, as we've talked about, he's contained out here. So if the quarterback's going to keep anything, he should be right here. He should be standing right here. Instead, he gets nosy. He's trying, because they've run inside a couple times, he's doing somebody else's job. Do your job, 35. And instead of that being a tackle for loss, you have a touchdown. That's why. Do your job. This is not simple. This is not complicated. This is simple stuff. And Akers is a grown man. Yeah, this was a miscommunication here. I think this is slide right, and I think the freshman is supposed to slide out here and take the defensive lineman because they're expecting the blitz. I think this is supposed to go pass off. I think 56 should be in here, passing him off to 55, but there's too much space here between them. He needs to pass that off and then work his way out, and that never gets passed off, so most dangerous guy gets let loose. But you still have Cam Akers on your team, and he's a grown man. And you have Cam Akers. And you still have Cam Akers out there. That's a grown donkey man, guys. And this is a nice little RPO here. They're run blocking. Backers come up. There's no chance against that. Makes it easy for DJ Matthews. Nice unsportsmanlike conduct. And this one, 6 got beaten on this earlier in the game as well. This is one where if they go empty and you're one-on-one, you're a former safety. You should be able to play this. The one thing as you go empty and you're bringing the pressure out of the Delta package is that you've got to protect your inside. Protect your inside. Everybody protects their inside when you're in zero. So there's no safety. You cannot allow a free release to the inside. If he's going to get to the inside, he'd better go through you. And if anything, if they're going to beat you, it better be on a fade or something like that where you're still getting a chance to punch through the ball. But he's going to have to get an outside release, at which point you run with him. Instead, that's just a free release to the inside. You cannot give that up. That's way too easy. And again, that's coaching. This is also way too easy to the inside. Now, this is a really good release from the receiver there. Press outside, press inside, and then outside again. So the inside threatens his inside leverage. He looks like he's going outside and forces his way in. Either of these would have been open. Both of those guys did not do their job, but Woodby just allowed a straight free release. You cannot do that. He's got to maintain leverage. You work your leverage as he comes inside. His feet should be right here. Make him come through you to get inside. It's way too easy. Again, that's coaching. It's basics. This is where 24 needs to recognize this just a hair earlier and be there, and he'll be able to break that up. This receiver's pretty good here. Great throw. Sometimes the throw and catch are just that good. This is actually pretty good coverage. If anything, he's close to interference there. Now this is misalignment. 23 doesn't recognize that that's an ineligible receiver here. They've gone unbalanced, and they've got a tight end over here. He's ineligible. You've got 3 on this side. There needs to be a third guy over here. If you've got the tight end, the way that Florida State's always been aligning this is you've got the corner on this side who's responsible for the tight end. That means 23's got to be over here, and they're yelling at him. And ultimately, it's just he's not there when he needs to be, and so that's an easy alignment issue. Again, it's little things like that. Just getting the call, getting the alignment. This was an unfortunate pick. Not really. You can't really. Yeah. So first of all, there's something wrong here because these two players are both running shallows. at the same depth. That's a mistake. Somebody's making a mistake. I'm going to bet that that's Matthews making a mistake, but somebody's making a mistake there. But that's not why this happens. This actually isn't a bad decision. He knows he's got pressure. Throwing the shallow is not a bad idea. The problem is that the backer who gets blocked, and that's a good job by Arnold, blocks him here. Backer knows he's not going to get to the quarterback, so now he gets his hands up and then just happens to find his way to the ball, and he gets pretty lucky. So, it's a little bit of misfortune from Blackman there. Not as bad a decision as what it might have looked like. Okay, this is one of the other ones that I really wanted to focus on before I wrapped up tonight, and that is another gap issue. So once again, you've got guys playing different defenses. So this is pretty much what we saw earlier in terms of Woodby needing to fill that A. This time he does it right. That's good. And actually, that's not half bad from 5. They're actually in their gaps here. The real problem is that both of these guys are now in the C gap. And it looks to me like somebody didn't get a call. My guess is that 21 is playing a different defense than everybody else. So I think he should be in the 3 technique or in the B gap here. 13 should be in the C gap. And if that happens, now you have that closed down, and the back has to bounce it, and the back bounces it straight to 8. There's just nowhere to go. And if he does bounce it, actually, if he tries to bounce it this way, you got 13 right there. So the quarterback's going to have to read it, and the quarterback will come straight to 8. So there's really not much to do. But because 21 is out of his gap, you have a big play again. And again, I'm not sure. I mean, something's going on with the communication or whatever. It's just not good enough. And then you get pushed around on the goal line. That's not good. Nice throw and catch. Cam Akers is Cam Akers. And then you have Cam Akers is that dude. Cam Akers is that dude, man. That's not bad there. But that's just completely stupid. And this is yet another reason why, at this stage, they need to get 5 off the field. They need to, in my view, looking at what they're doing here, they need to get 5 off the field. I think 6 is fine at linebacker, but I might consider Durden has not been real good. Honestly, I might consider having Durden as a backup to Cooper and Wilson, and then you might want to put, say, 35 on the inside again, and then have 6 on the outside. Even though that makes you a little bit smaller, that maybe you can do a little bit more in terms of pass coverage and some other things. And you've got another guy on the inside who's used to playing a little bit more on the inside. I mean, I'm not sure what you need to do there, but they need to figure out a way to get to get somebody on the edge that's going to be more consistent than 16, and they need to. And see here, he does a better job of coming down the line like he should have. He's still not delivering the blow as much as I'd like. Now if he'd done this earlier, he'd probably have forced more fumbles. But even here, he doesn't deliver the blow as well as I'd like. Forces the fumble, and they're still able to get to it. But that's what he should have been doing all along, is pounding that down. But either way, I think they need to give some serious consideration to to which guys have played the best and where they fit the best, where they're comfortable. I think it's obvious that the linebackers are really poorly coached overall, and that ultimately that's leading to some issues in terms of the fit of the defense between linebackers and the secondary, and also up front in the secondary, or up front in the linebackers. You're just not getting a whole lot of cohesiveness and coordination on the defense, and it's just not good enough. They need to be much, much better than they have been, as we all know. So, yeah, it's just not enough, and they're going to need to make some significant changes, starting with personnel and figuring out what they can do to get better play both up front and at the backer position to be able to stop the run. We'll go ahead and stop there. I'm not going to get into the overtime period, aside from saying that if they'd have gone for 2, they'd have gotten it. So we'll go ahead and wrap there. I can't believe 5 is still on the field after all that stupidity earlier. It's just remarkable. Anyway, well, that'll do it for this session of the Unconquered Podcast Film Session. I'm your host, Jason Staples. Thanks for listening and watching and everything else. Thanks for your support.